Hey, it's Sylvan, and I'm recording this video from Scotland, where I had the great pleasure to visit David of Samadhi Soundscapes. David builds handpans outside of the city of Glasgow. He was very kind to invite me to show me around his workshop, and we just had a great time chatting. So I wanted to share a little bit of our conversation in this video. Enjoy. Well, David, thanks so much for having me. We're in Glasgow in Scotland in your workshop. I'm curious to hear how your journey with Handpan started.
Okay, well, firstly, very warm welcome to Scotland. It's nice to have you here. So my journey started in 2002 in Barcelona when I saw a hung, and I didn't, probably a very similar experience to most people that see it. I didn't know what it was, didn't know where it came from. I said all the usual questions.
Yeah.
Is that a UFO? You know. And 10 years later, 2012, I decided that it'd been on my mind for 10 years. That whole time I kept thinking back to it. I hadn't done proper research into it, and I thought I'll get one of those. I'll get one of them because I'm a musician. I think that's for me. Then I realised that you basically had to marry one of Panart's children to be awarded one. So that was out of the question. And my process led me to beginning to try and make them myself in order to facilitate me being able to play one. There was nobody I knew. I didn't know anybody at the time. There was a smaller community back then, just because it was really, Facebook wasn't quite as crazy as it is now.
Right.
People weren't connected in the same way, but there was a Handpan forum,
Yeah.
.org, which was a mine of information. Not a great deal because there was only 4 or 5 builders at the time.
Yeah.
But occasionally Victor would post a wee something, or Mark, when Mark from Saraz came in, he would post a wee tidbit here and there. So there was wee bits here and there that if you really were studious and read, I mean, I read every page that there was.
Yeah.
You could glean a little information, and I just got myself a wee space and a couple of hammers, a sheet of steel, and I just started hammering.
That's amazing. And so what you did is you started making your own instruments, trying to explore tuning steel before you even owned a handpan.
Yeah, well, I had no idea how to tune, or how to not even how to tune, but how to bend the steel in order to. So my first attempts looked crazy. They looked like trash can lids, you know, and there was very little tone out of them either. There was maybe one fundamental somewhere on the whole tone field out of 9 different tones, but I just kept doing it, and every mistake that I made led me to another option. And by making so many mistakes, and I did make so many mistakes, I eventually started getting it right and getting my technique. It was all good for hammering as well, because hand hammering especially, is one of those things that the first 20, 30 times you do it, you're not going to get it smooth, you know.
Right.
And it took a long while to be able to get the technique of holding the hammer, just to be able to smooth out a pan shape, you know. So I just kept doing it, kept getting it wrong, kept doing it, kept breaking dings and overstretching the metal and understretching it. And I would say maybe about 2 years ago, maybe even less than that, I finally had that kind of aha moment. I was waiting on it. I thought, when's this aha moment going to come, when I start to understand what I'm doing? Because I still didn't understand what I was doing. I was still trying different methods and different things, and I'm still learning, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
There's not a day goes by or a handpan that I make that I don't go, that's a wee bit different. But I just go with it, you know. I'm sorry, about 2 years ago, I felt I had that wee moment where things started to go right for me, and things started to come to completion with a handpan. I got my first sort of handpan, my own handpan that I made, and that was my first handpan that I played as well properly, with fifths and fundamentals and this proper scale that all kind of sang. So it was a really lovely, enjoyable 4-year process.
I love it. So you're obviously very creative, and this space shows it. What do you do when you're not hammering steel?
Well, as I said, I'm in a wee band that just we tour around pubs and clubs and do music to make drunk people dance. I play guitar and vocals, so I enjoy that.
Yeah.
That's a good cathartic way to spend your time. Also, I love spending time with my family, my wife and my 2 kids. We've got a really close wee unit, and it's great to be able to spend time with them. I'm in a really good position in my life where I get to pick them up from school and drop them off at school, and always one of us is there for them, and it's very important in my life. My wife has been amazingly supportive of me going crazy and saying I want to make handpans, because I didn't even know it when I first said to my wife, her name's Gail, I said, Gail, I think I could make these. She went, wow, you've never even played one? I went, I know, but I think I've got a feeling I could make them, I think I could do it. And the full first year I was going, I can't make these, but I was going home and saying, yeah, things are going good. Yeah. And she was like, well, you know, just keep going. So she was incredibly supportive. Wow. So anytime I get away from the music or my workshop, I'll try and spend it with them as much as I can. And I play football a couple of times a week as well, so that keeps the social aspect of my friends, catching up with my friends, which is cool, because when you're gigging all the time, sometimes you lose touch with people because you're not going out on a Friday or a Saturday night. Right. So that kind of takes care of that side of things. It's not, I wouldn't say it's lonely up here, but sometimes if I'm here at 2 o'clock in the morning myself, and it's a 100-year-old building, sometimes I go out that door at night with all the lights off and I think, what was that film with Will Smith in it, where the world ended?
Oh, I Am a Legend?
Sometimes I'm a wee bit like that.
Oh yeah,
Legends
the zombies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I could see that in this building.
But I do love it. I love this wee workshop. This is my 7th workshop that I've had, and I've known the last 6 ones weren't the right place for me. But this is the first place that I've put up my posters and my pictures of my kids and all that kind
Has
of
a lot of character.
It feels like this is
It feels very homey.
My home, yeah.
That's awesome. Tell me about the wands.
Well, the wands, that was a total... I get easily distracted. I get so easily distracted. Like, I pulled into wee projects. I mean, you can see the Captain America shield there. That was a thing I thought, oh, I think I'll make a Captain America shield for the kids. Yeah. A month later, I was still doing it, you know. And the wands was the same thing. We hadn't watched any of the Harry Potter films, and at the start of the year, we all sat down and watched all the Harry Potter films with the kids, and they just loved it. Yeah. And I thought, I've got a set of old drumsticks. I think I'll make 2 wands for one for them each. Yeah. So then I had no idea if I could do it or not. I sat down and I started whittling away, and a lovely wee wand came out, and then another one. And I thought, oh, that's really nice. And I told someone about it, and they went, could you make me one? Yeah. I went, oh yeah, okay. And then I started asking for, it snowballed. I started asking all the old musicians, not the old musicians, all the musicians who had old worn sticks, because you know, if people are drumming, once they break a stick, they chuck it, they throw it away. So I started collecting all the sticks. So I've got sticks from orchestras, sticks from proper big bands, like you would know from chart bands, ones from just wee guys in their house at practice. So I've got all these wee selection of drumsticks, and I have, I'll take out one, cut it down to the size I want, and then just start from one end and carve it. And it's a really nice, cathartic, quiet. It's just, you never know. I'm not surprised. You never know what you're going to get out the bit of wood until you get it, until you're into it. You know, you just start at one end and always say to myself, right, what are you going to be? And by the time you get into the middle, you go, oh, that's interesting. You're going to be one of these kind of things, you know.
Well, you obviously gravitate towards magical looking and sounding objects. Wands, handpans. David, where can people find and follow your creative work online?
You can just check my website out. That's got all the links to Facebook and SoundCloud and anything else that I do. It's got a list of the gigs that I do as well on there, and that's www.samadhisoundscapes.com.
Thanks so much for having me.
My pleasure. Absolutely delighted that you're here. Thank you.